Caitlin Clark is not a top 4 guard, not player, top 4 guard in the WNBA, says ESPN mental giant, ESPN intellectual, DEI David Dennis. Now at Andscape, I believe a subsidiary of ESPN. I believe ESPN owns Andscape, where it's basically for race baiters like Dennis to have a home because ESPN says, I don't know if we want you on air all the time. I believe, now they didn't come out and say these are the people, but I'm pretty sure David Dennis is one of the reasons Around the Horn finally got canceled. They'd had enough. I believe he was on PTI as well at times and made an absolute disaster of that. David he had some insane things to say when Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA. He is one of those that everything is through the lens of race. He plays race victim all of the time. Excuse me. And he has some interesting comments about Caitlin Clark that I want to get into, and you're going to love how he starts out.
Top 4. I don't think that you can make a compelling argument that Caitlin top 4. I don't think that you can make a compelling argument that Caitlin Clark is a top 4 guard in the WNBA. Like nobody can at this point.
Nobody. David, again, who's a DEI hire, is the only reason he has a career is the color of his skin. He is not an intelligent human being. You can just watch him on anything and listen to him speak. And it is very, very clear he doesn't have the intellectual capacity to have these conversations, which is why he takes them in this direction. He makes one of the dumbest comments you can possibly make about Caitlin Clark, and they said, well, no one could make a case against what I just said. No one could make that case. Well, as we all know, we have had one full month in the WNBA and a little more than a half, maybe 2/3 of May. I forget. I want to say May 13th, but it might have been May 9th when the season started. So I'm saying, well, we'll give it the 2/3 of May and then the full month of June, which was the more recent month. Caitlin Clark was player of the month for the Eastern Conference for all of June with almost 22 points a game, and it was 21.9, 4 rebounds a game, 8.2 assists. And she did all that being forced into a system that actually hurts her production. She did all that playing almost 20% fewer minutes per game than she was playing in 2024. By the way, that puts her top 2 player in the WNBA, David, for the entire month of June, which is when all that voting took place. And here we are, July 9th. So, and she missed a couple games because of injury. So, how she goes from just getting player of the month for June to she's not a top 4 guard in the WNBA, no one can actually make that case, you absolute buffoon, you mental midget. This is embarrassing that ESPN, and I believe, by the way, this is on First Take. They decided to risk having this absolute clown who has no ability to have a conversation because he doesn't have the intelligence for it, and they put him on First Take on ESPN, and then this is what he says. No one can actually justify what you're saying, David, purely from a basketball standpoint. It is absolutely ridiculously stupid. So he has a couple other things I want to say. I just want to skip some of that because he goes into the whole, oh, well, they didn't really vote Caitlin the 11th. I meant to talk about that in another video, so I don't want to get into it. But then he's going to move the goalposts and make a comparison that is completely inaccurate in order to justify the way the players treat Caitlin Clark.
What bothers me is when this is framed as some sort.
That got cut off. He said, I don't like when this is framed. Let me make sure I have this.
What bothers me is when this is framed as some sort of like petty jealousy or insecurity by these women in the WNBA, because that's not what I'm seeing what's happening with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is
Way. He's actually responding there specifically to when Candace Parker said that about the players, their petty jealousy and insecurity in terms of voting Caitlin Clark the 11th best guard. And Candace Parker went off. I actually did another video on that. I don't know if it's up before you see this one. And that's what he's saying. Oh, well, no, that's not true at all. David, there's no one watching the WNBA who is honest that can say there is not petty jealousy and insecurity oozing from every single pore of the players in the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark. You're just making a fool of yourself. And I get it. You're a trained SEAL and you are willing to do that for a paycheck. But man, take a look in the mirror. Have a little pride. Have a little shame. And maybe you might want to refrain from some of these things you're saying.
experiencing pretty much what happens anytime a young player comes into the league with a lot of hype, especially the hype that she's receiving that says all of these, the whole entire league basically should be thankful that she's there. She's going to be the best player that you've ever seen. Whenever this happens in any league, in any sport, in any gender, there is backlash to that because there are players who are there who are saying, we built this, show me what you got.
And you see the switch, right? Yes, Caitlin absolutely is coming into the league with a lot of hype as a player. She's the all-time leading scorer in NCAA history. That makes sense. But Paige Beckers came in with just as much, if not more hype. Remember, she was Caitlin before Caitlin. But she didn't get any of this because he flipped the switch when he went from people saying that they should be thankful she's there and then went into, oh, she's going to be the greatest. No, no, no. Two very different things. I mean, a lot of people think she would be the greatest. And it's hard to say she can't if things get worked out and she's allowed to play her game. But people were talking about the players in the WNBA being thankful, or at least just not hateful, because you're talking about the people who built this, they didn't build anything. The WNBA has been irrelevant for 27 years. Nobody watched. It didn't make any money. Nobody cared. We can go to the interview in the street that I mentioned time and again, where you get women to be rah rah gender equality, rah rah women, 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 and then and they talk about equal pay and like WNBA to NBA, and they're, well, did you ever go to a game? Can you name the team in your city? Didn't even know their city had a team. Can you name a player? No. Now they can name Caitlin Clark. Heck, wasn't it just on Jeopardy where the question I think was about Paige Beckers, and they even showed an image or a video of Paige Beckers, and the answer was still Caitlin Clark, because that's all anybody in the general public knows is Caitlin Clark. And we were talking about the players being thankful because of the opportunities like the media rights deal and the CBA. Those are all because of Caitlin Clark. She generated over a quarter of the entire league's economic activity in 2024. One single player. You can't compare this to anything else ever in any other league because it has no comparison. It is without comparison because it has never happened before.
And they target that player. That happens all the time. Michael Jordan had the freeze out in the Olympics where they would not pass him the ball. LeBron James, when he got in the league and he was the chosen one, they were physical with LeBron James. When we're talking about Wemby right now, we're talking about a guy, the best way to attack him is with physicality and to beat him up. Candace Parker was in the middle of a riot in the middle of a WNBA game in her rookie year because they were attacking her because she was coming in as a prospective GOAT.
And none of that. And he goes on and then tries to say that use Caitlyn against herself because she's so damn nice, and we all know that. So he's like, oh, Caitlyn doesn't want anyone. Caitlyn doesn't want this. Caitlyn doesn't want, investigations. Caitlyn does just want to play basketball. But just because Caitlyn is so damn nice in what she says publicly doesn't mean she doesn't want changes or doesn't want fixes. It also, just because she's so damn nice doesn't mean the things that need to be fixed should be ignored, David. So guess what? The fans are not going to sit here and let you use Caitlyn being the only nice person in the WNBA against her. That is absolutely absurd. But again, nothing in the talking about Jordan or Wemby or none of that has anything to do with the targeting we've seen toward Caitlin Clark, who has what? Almost a fifth of the flagrant fouls in 2024. were against Caitlin Clark. And that is with really poor officiating, where actually a lot more flagrant fouls could have been called that were not called. It is absolutely wild that here we still are with absolute buffoons like David Dennis being allowed a platform like First Take on ESPN to spout absolute nonsense. Because, David, here is the thing. If you were to actually have to have a debate on these things, you would get wrecked by every single YouTuber who covers Caitlin Clark and the WNBA, because they're going to bring receipts, and they're going to bring facts, and they're going to bring the ability to reason and use logic, things that you do not have at all. All you can do is regurgitate intellectually shallow, rhetorical talking points that you were handed to by other people. That's all you got, my man. And as you can see, or you could hear, because a lot of times, especially with ESPN, showing video gets tricky, no pushback whatsoever. He was just brought on to spout nonsense, starting with, she's not a top 4 guard in the WNBA, despite the fact that she's actually having a better year than she did in 2024, where she was 4th in MVP voting and first team all WNBA, and she just had got rookie player of the month for June, player of the month for June, not guard of the month, which even that would be enough. But anyway, just absolute more ridiculousness from WNBA media. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the drill. I will talk to you later.